you, I'm absolutely exhausted after that workout. However, I do feel a lot more toned. I think one of those a day, I'm going to be some sort of Goliath when I come back to school. You won't recognise me, but like, who's that muscular guy walking through the court? The yard would be like, oh my God, it's Mr. Andrews, look at him. So you can hear the ground thunder as he steps forward. His gigantic, bulging, muscling arms. Ah. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll still be a foul guy. Now, we were reading a poem, weren't we? Because poems are very good for doing workouts. Very, very good indeed. The structure of many poems is quite rhythmical. There's lots of precedent for this. So pretty much every classic poet you can get, whatever you want to call them, some incredibly famous poems. Lord Byron, here's one that's oft quoted. Okay, the destruction of Sennacherib. Sort of a piece of historical whatever legend, mythology put to a poem. Quite an interesting rhythm actually. You wouldn't try and do a workout to this because it's quite galloping. Without this poem, really, we might not have had Charge of the Light Brigade in a way, and the Night Train. Okay, those three poems to me are the ones that really sort of sum up this sort of quite interesting galloping rhythm. Okay, so it's all about this invasion, or well, it's an attack by the Assyrians. It goes like this. Listen to the rhythm. The Assyrian came down like a wolf on the fold, and his cohorts were gleaming in purple and gold, and the sheen of his spears was like stars on the sea, and when the blue wave rolls nightly on deep Galilee. Like the leaves of the forest when summer is green, that host with their banners at sunset were seen. Like the leaves of the forest when autumn hath blown, that lost on the morrow lay withered and strown. For the angel of death spread his wings on the blast, and breathed on the face of the foe as he passed, and the eyes of the sleepers waxed deadly and chill, and their hearts but once heaved and for ever grew still. And there lay the steed with his nostrils all wide, but through it there rolled not the breath of his pride, and the foam of his gasping lay white on the turf, and cold as the spray of the rock-beating surf. And there lay the rider, distorted and pale, with dew on his brow and the rust on his mail, and the tents were all silent, the banners alone, the lancers unlifted, the trumpet unblown, and the widows of Ashur are loud in their wail, and the idols are broke in the temple of Baal, and the might of the Gentile, unsmote by the sword, hath melted like snow in the glance of the Lord. What a fabulous poem. So exciting. And then you can hear the rhythm, you see. So, if I was doing a workout to the destruction of Sennacherib, I'd be like, oh, it'd be too hard. It'd be like, like a wolf on the fold. Whew, maybe we'll do that one day when we get a bit more hardcore. Okay, here's another famous one you might have heard, of course, The Tiger by William Blake. All right. Now, it's an incredibly metaphysical poem, but he chooses to set it to quite a straightforward, quite a regular rhythm. People often discuss why they do this. Okay, you've probably heard it before. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night. What immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burnt the forest of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? What the hammer, what the chain, in what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dread clasp dare its deadly terrors clasp? Got two words mixed up there. When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb make thee? Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? It's wonderful. It kind of makes your hair stand on end in a way. So, yeah, you can have these serious poems about people attacking each other in ancient battles and, what on earth made the tiger? It's a great question. Then you can have some quite interesting sort of poems as well. These are more what I'd call verses. Because, again, you said, so do they have to rhyme? Well, verses often do. They've often got a rhythmic element and they've often got a rhyming element. So here's a scary one. Okay, don't watch this video late at night, because this one's called The Ghoul. The gruesome ghoul, the grisly ghoul, without the slightest noise, waits patiently beside the school to feast on girls and boys. He lunges fiercely through the air as they come out to play, then grabs a couple by the hair and drags them far away. He cracks their bones and snaps their backs and squeezes out their lungs. He chews their thumbs like candy snacks and pulls apart their tongues. He slices their stomachs and bites their hearts and tears their flesh to shreds. He swallows their toes like toasted tarts and gobbles down their heads. Fingers, elbows, hands and knees and arms and legs and feet. He eats them with delight and ease, for every part's a treat. And when the gruesome grisly ghoul has nothing left to chew, he hurries to another school and waits, perhaps for you. Oh God, that's really quite scary, actually. Please, parents, don't email me and say that your child won't go to sleep because he's waiting for the grisly ghoul to come and eat it up. One more. A cowboy poem. How cool is this? So you've got poems about cowboys, poems about grisly ghouls, poems about battles, poems about what is the meaning of life if you're represented by a tiger. The last song of Billy the Kid. I know you like my American accent, so you're getting another one. You ready? You gotta imagine some sort of American dong 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 dong, like a walking on the plain with his horse. I'll tell you the story of Billy the Kid. I'll tell you the things that his young outlaw did. Way out in the west when the country was young, when the gun was the law and the law was a gun. Now the Mexican maidens played guitars and sing songs about Billy the boy bandit king. But with drinking and gambling he come to his end, shot down by Pat Garrett, who once was his friend. Pat Garrett rode up to the window that night. The desert was still and the moonlight was bright. Pat listened outside while the kid told his tale of shooting the guard in the Las Cruces jail. I rode down the border and robbed in Juarez. I drank to the ladies the happiest of days. My picture is posted from Texas to Maine, and women and riding and robbing's my game. All the while Billy, bragged Pat, waited outside. Bill said to his friends, I ain't satisfied. 21 men I've put bullets through. The sheriff, Pat Garrett, must make 22. Then Pat Garrett fired and his thumb buster cracked. Billy fell dead. He was blowed through the back. Pat rode away, left the kid lying dead. And this is the last song of Billy the Kid. What a great poem. I hope some of you noticed that dead and kid don't rhyme. Unless you sort of realise the accent, maybe that gives you an appreciation that words are spoken or pronounced differently wherever you live or whatever. So maybe the kid lying dead and this last song of Billy the Kid. That sounds better, doesn't it? Because I think that's how they do say dead in America. So there are some, well, there's hundreds of them. There are some poems which quite clearly rhyme and have a quite clear rhythm. But there are only some of a few. At some point later on, not today, but at another time, we'll look at some poems that don't, and then we'll work out why we still call them poems. Because that's the key to this. You've got to look at the hair and blooming eyebrows. The key to this, girls and boys, you've got to have that appreciation of poetry that you can say more than, well, it just rhymes. For example, Tiger is about more than just the sound of the poem or the rhythm of the poem. It's about, what our great inventor up there, whoever he or she may be, was thinking when he or she created so many amazing and stunning and beautiful things. Incredible, the questions in that poem. Also, if a poem only rhymes, then you're in trouble, you see, because... Oh, just found a note from my mum. Because, well, things go wrong. There's a very, very, very famous poet. Well, not really. Yes, famous, but maybe not for being the best poet of all time, but for being a very, not very good poet. Spike Milligan wrote a book about him. This is one of his better known poems, and I'm going to read it to you because A, I love it, and B, hopefully you'll get a sense of, even though this is about a tragedy and a terrible disaster, the style of the poem is not really appropriate, and all of a sudden you realise that if you just make poems rhyme, then sometimes you can really miss the point. You can conjure a completely inappropriate mood for the message that you want to communicate, and to quite comic effect. So this is a poem called The Tay Bridge Disaster, and it's by William Topaz McGonagall. I have to do it in a Scottish accent as well. Oh, beautiful railway bridge o'er the silvery Tay. That's a river. Alas, I am very sorry to say that 90 lives have been taken away on the last Sabbath day of 1879, which will be remembered for a very long time. 'Twas about 7 o'clock at night, and the wind blew with all its might, and the rain came pouring down, and the dark clouds seemed to frown, and the demon of the air seemed to say, I'll blow down the bridge of Tay. When the train left Edinburgh, the passengers' hearts were light and felt no sorrow, but Boreas blew a terrific gale, which made their hearts for to quail, and many of the passengers with fear did say, I hope God will send us safe across the bridge of Tay. But when the train came near to Wormit Bay, Boreas, he did loud and angry bray, and shook the central girders of the bridge of Tay on that last Sabbath day of 1879, which will be remembered for a very long time. So the train sped on with all its might, and bonny Dundee soon hove in sight, and the passengers' hearts felt light, thinking they would enjoy themselves on the new year with their friends at home they loved most dear, and wish them all a happy new year. So the train moved slowly along the bridge of Tay, until it was about midway. Then the central girders with a crash gave way, and down went the train and passengers into the Tay. The storm fiend did loudly bray, because 90 lives had been taken away on the last Sabbath day of 1879, which will be remembered for a very long time. As soon the catastrophe came to be known, the alarm from mouth to mouth was blown, and the cry rang out all o'er the town, Good heavens, the bridge of Tay is blown down! And a passenger train from Edinburgh, which filled all the people's hearts with sorrow, and made them for to turn pale, because none of the passengers were saved to tell the tale, how the disaster happened on the last Sabbath day of 1879, which will be remembered for a very long time. It must have been an awful sight to witness in the dusky moonlight, while the storm fiend did laugh and angrily did bray along the railway bridge of the silvery Tay. O ill-fated bridge of the silvery Tay, I must conclude my lay by telling the world fearlessly, without the least dismay, that your central girders would not have given way, at least many sensible men do say, had they been supported on each side with buttresses. At least many sensible men confess, for the stronger we our houses do build, the less chance we have of being killed. Genius. Absolute genius. The stronger we our houses do build, the less chance we have of being killed. William Topaz McGonagall. Absolute genius. So I hope, firstly, you worked out that we're going to use poetry properly to do our workout. We've worked that out, that the workout. Secondly, rhythm and rhyme are very important. Okay, they are in a lot of poems, and they can really conjure up an appropriate mood. Sometimes, though, if you rhyme for the sake of it, and if your rhythm is simply abandons whatever mood or emotion you actually want to communicate, then give it up, leave it alone, don't bother, because you're ruining your poem. Aren't you, William? Yes, I am. Right. Chapter 3 today, so you're probably bored by now, I've been ranting for a quarter of an hour, is how to use books to not be bored. Okay? Because I can hear some of you already. Mum, Dad, I'm bored. Internet's down. Can't do all them worksheets. Andrews wouldn't be bothered anyway because I can't email him. Who knows what's going to happen with the internet today? None of my problem. Well, it is my problem actually because I can't get your emails. Keep working and speak to you in whenever I do the next one. I'll probably do it straight away. Then I can have the rest of the day off. Okay? Planning and stuff like that. Bye.